A child is like a clay. You can mend them according to you. This is one of the most sought out proverbs in the Indian education sector. It is true. If your child was to attend a board full of misinformation and propaganda, you can very well imagine the impact of such education on your child's thinking process. The Indian education system is getting vicious with the day. Two of the centrally managed education boards, NCERT and CBSE, are turning to be the biggest mode of spreading false narratives and glorifying the wrong history. Sometimes I think people like Kunal Kamra and Swara are not to be blamed, but the education system is. And I will not be surprised if more pseudo-liberals and woke citizens continue to thrive in India. This time, CBSE has stooped to the lowest standards, and let me tell you how. Hi and welcome. You're watching TFI English, the national socio-political and analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Tribhuvan, and in this video I will tell you how CBSE stooped to the lowest by asking an inappropriate question in the exam paper. Let's begin. The Central Board of Secondary Education, also known as CBSE, found itself in hot soup recently when a particular question appeared in the Class 12 Sociology examination paper that caused an outrage amongst the netizens. Reportedly, the question in the Term 1 exam had asked to choose the name of the political party from 4 options, under whose regime the Gujarat riots in 2002 took place. Question number 23 in the exam paper asked the students, the unprecedented scale and spread of anti-Muslim violence in Gujarat in 2022 took place under which government? With 4 options, being A. Congress, B. BJP, C. Democratic, D. Republican. The question appears to have been picked exactly from a paragraph under the chapter The Challenges of Cultural Diversity in the NCERT Class 12 Sociology textbook, Indian Society. A brief from the chapter reads as follows. No region has been wholly exempt from communal violence of one kind or another. Every religious community has faced this violence in greater or lesser degree, although the proportionate impact is far more traumatic for minority communities. To the extent that the government can be held responsible for communal riots, no government or ruling party can claim to be blameless in this regard. It continues further, in fact, the 2 most traumatic contemporary instances of communal violence occurred under each of the following political parties. The anti-Sikh riots of Delhi in 1984 took place under a Congress regime. The unprecedented scale and spread of anti-Muslim violence in Gujarat in 2002 took place under a BJP government. However, as soon as the question went viral on social media platforms, the netizens took offense and called out CBSE as well as Ministry of Education, which appears to be sleeping at the wheel. After the clamour surrounding the question reached the climax, the CBSE, through its official social media handle on Twitter, gave out an apology. CBSE termed the question as inappropriate and stated that strict action will be taken against the responsible persons. A question has been asked in today's Class 12 Sociology Term 1 exam, which is inappropriate and in violation of the CBSE guidelines for external subject experts for setting question papers. CBSE acknowledges the error made and will take strict actions against the responsible persons. The board further asserted that only academic, religion-neutral questions are allowed in the exams. The CBSE guidelines for the paper setters clearly states that they have to ensure the questions should be academic-oriented only and should be class, religion-neutral and should not touch upon domains that could harm sentiments of people based on social and political choices. This is not the first time that the educational bodies, in addition to the government, have found themselves on a sticky wicket. As reported by the TFI recently, NCERT came up with a bizarre guideline to train students into the theories of gender identity, gender incongruence, gender dysphoria, gender affirmation, gender expression, gender conformity, gender variation, heterosexuality, homosexuality, asexuality, bisexuality and trans-negativity, among various others, through a detailed glossary. It was a direct import from the woke manual in the US, which has led to several conflicts between parents in the USA and the schools. After being criticized by the public, the NCERT withdrew the manual. However, the manual was prepared by an individual named Ms. Vikramaditya Sahai, who had openly espoused hate speech against the Hindus. While CBSE and NCERT have formed a fatal concussion that has led to the current situation, the government has not been far behind either. Former Education Minister Prakash Javadekar during his tenure had remarked that he took pride in the fact that his government had not changed a single word in the textbooks. Javadekar had infamously remarked, "We have not rewritten a single chapter in the last 4 years." However, what showed Javadkar's true inability to lead the ministry was the fact that he believed he could circumvent the left teaching of the textbooks and somehow correct it through direct conversation. He further added, we don't need to go to textbook to expand our philosophy. We do that by directly going to people and having a direct conversation with them. We don't have to use textbook syllabus to spread our philosophy. It's been more than 7 years and yet the government appears passive and reluctant to change what is a biased and narrow point of view of events being taught to students across the country. If the books can term the 2002 riots simply as anti-Muslim riots, imagine 20 years from now what would happen when the future generation will read about Northeast Delhi riots of 2020. The Hindus were killed, and yet the liberal cabal has been stating that it was a Muslim program. This is how the popular discourse is hijacked when left liberal professors coyly publish a book using the same narrative, which is later shoved down the throat of young students who are easily influenced.